All right, welcome to Talk Spirit Jazz. I'm Brother Craig.
I'm Brother Lasana.
You know, all the musicians in my days had nicknames. My name was Satchel Mouth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am, or rather, my name is Duke Ellington. I have a band. I think the future is going to be all of this wonderful music that has been inspired by the distant rumors out of Africa, transplanted to America and the Caribbean.
I like to try to sing like a horn.
The accents actually say bebop.
You have to have yourself together as a person to express yourself in music.
And the important thing is not to play where people have to intellectualize your music. Because music is like a river. It's supposed to flow and wash away the dust of everyday life.
I believe that men are here to grow themselves into the best goods that they can be. This is my belief.
Jazz is only a white man's word he gave to music that he couldn't play, so we don't use that word.
From my perspective as a kid, funk, it felt like jazz. It was the same thing to me, same music but two different words.
Jazz is freedom. I want you to smile. Jazz is, as Abbie Lincoln would put it, a spirit, a spirit, a spirit, a spirit.
Brother Lasana, we are back again. How you doing?
Good, Brother Craig. Flowing with the day. It was cloudy, and now the sun is shining, so I'm good.
All right. Well, today we want to continue our discussion in this music where we're encouraging people to explore, take these suggestions, go deeper with it. And of course, if possible, where you have living musicians involved, see where one is playing in a town near you so that you can support the music and you can have that firsthand direct experience. And of course, everybody's music, living and who have transitioned, is available for your purchase. We here are really interested in sparking your interest through some education and exposure to this music.
Like the brother said, educate, illuminate, and elucidate. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Only I didn't say it that good. It's just as good as you just did. So, yeah. But we want to talk about flute. There's many flutists, flautists, flute players, however you want to say it, who are also saxophonists, because apparently, learning how to play one gives you a leg up on learning on how to play the other. Apparently the fingerings or something are similar. So I'm not one myself, but I have noticed that. And, when it comes to the flute, one of the people that have been around a long time, one of our elder musicians who can be found in both classical music environments, kind of more R&B and jazz funk fusion environments, straight ahead jazz music environments, who is 85 years old at the moment, who turned 86 later this year, is Hubert Laws. Hubert Laws out of Texas. I don't know what it is, but whenever someone is from Texas or Detroit, I just like to say it. I don't know why.
That's because those are hotbeds of breeding really fine musicians. You've got North Texas State that is a hotbed for breeding great saxophonists. That's why you got that great tenor tradition coming out of Texas, specifically Houston. And then, of course, in Detroit, you had that just incredibly rich jazz tradition that's created the Donald Byrds, Yusef Lateefs, Kenny Garrett. All of those folks come out of that Motor City idiom, that was underscored by Motown. As Motown mentioned, if you remember, Motown, one of the reasons it was so good, just on a quick, was because it had all of those jazz musicians who were underscoring and playing for those R&B hits that came out of Motown.
And isn't there some kind of a school in Detroit called like Cass?
Cass Tech is the premier high school in Detroit that a lot of these musicians came out of. Kenny Garrett certainly came out of Cass.
Okay.
Just an example of it. But they also had a lot of underground clubs and overground clubs in Detroit that really catered to the music. And you have a sophisticated, educated jazz population in Detroit that really helped the promulgate and formulate the music there in terms of the sophistication of the listeners and purveyors of the music there. And it's also the home of places like Watts Club, Mozambique, and places like that where you really had a place. In fact, I saw Gil Scott-Heron play there at one point when I was flowing through the Motor City area. So Detroit has a lot of resonance, and they used to have a really excellent jazz station there. It used to be called WJZZ, where with WJZZ there was always great music playing. At one point, it was considered the premier jazz station in the country before it went out of business back in the early 90s.
All right. Well, that's a lot of education. I've never actually, well, I've only passed through Detroit, so I never really spent a lot of time there. I wonder what's going on in Houston because so many people come from Houston, come from Texas. I think like even Billy Harper, like I think you were saying in the previous episodes from Texas. And of course the Crusaders.
Right.
And here we go with Hubert Laws. And Hubert Laws is from a family of musicians. He's one of the, I think, older brothers of, we got Ronnie Laws.
Who was Deborah Laws, sister.
Yeah, and Eloise Laws.
That's right, Eloise.
And there's probably some more. I think altogether there was 7 or 8 in the family. And from the 60s, till today, Hubert Laws has been making music. I think he's recorded over 30 albums as a leader. And, you can find him as a sideman with people like George Benson, Ron Carter, Roy Ayers, Freddie Hubbard, Milt Jackson. Quincy Jones liked to use him on a lot of things. McCoy Tyner. In fact, he does some beautiful work with McCoy Tyner on Fly with the Wind and another album in 1978, Together. And other people, Charles Earland, we've heard him on that. Gil Scott-Heron, Pieces of a Man.
Yes,
he's featured on that. Eddie Henderson, Harold Mayburn, on and on. So he's someone who has been around a long time.
A major discography with Hubert.
Yeah, even Stevie Wonder, apparently. So Hubert Laws, we want to go to one of his cuts. And I tell you, one of my favorite Hubert Laws albums is Land of Passion. Land of Passion that features a lot of vocal cuts, including the song The Key, which I'm just waiting for somebody to cover. I don't know if you remember that song, The Key, but it's a beautiful song in terms of its musical composition, but also it's inspiring and I guess what you would call
message.
It's very it's very inspiring, educational, so to speak, lyrics. But I didn't pick a song from that album to play, but I just wanted to highlight that for any listeners to check out Hubert Laws' Land of Passion. Instead, what we're going to listen to is a piece that was recorded, or at least released, in 1972 on the Atlantic label off of the Hubert Laws album, Wild Flower. It includes Mongo Santa Maria is on the congas, which, of course, Mongo Santa Maria, the Latin jazz legend out of Cuba, who was the author of the classic Afro Blue. And you got Bernard Purdy on the drums. On percussion, we have Joe Chambers, Warren Smith, and Aerto Morera. Chick Corea on piano, Gary Burton on vibraphone. And it's a song called Yoruba. So we're going to check that out, and we'll be back.
All right.
Wow, man, Yoruba.
Yeah.
Yoruba, Hubert Laws. That's off of Wildflower. And what I didn't tell you is who's on the bass? Ron Carter.
Who else? L.
You can't get away from Ron Carter, you know.
He's a
Um, yeah, so that was Hubert Laws, master flautist. He did a lot of music, like I say, kind of on the jazz funk fusion, but he's also classically trained. He has music that kind of goes in that direction. Wherever he goes, it's you know, you listen to quality musicianship. So check him out further. And we want to continue another person who is synonymous with the flute.
Oh yes, absolutely, and that's the great Yusef Lateef. Also, another one of those gentlemen from the Detroit, frequented with Donald Byrd and others. Ron Carter, of course, was also from the Detroit area. And Yusef has just a prolific discography and always has a spiritually uplifting tilt to the sound of his flute. So we're going to go directly into some of Yusef's music right now with the tune that we are going to rock with is Morning.
There we go, morning, Yusef Latif. of course, he also played saxophone, but I mostly remember him with the flute.
Yeah, he was strong on flute. Yusef was very strong on flute.
And of course, he was a Muslim, and
out of the Ahmadiyya movement, which also had people like Ahmad Jamal
and McCoy Tyner, right?
McCoy Tyner, that's right.
Yeah, and others. Anyway, I did want to read this quote where he said in 1980, "Too much blood, sweat, and tears have been spilled creating this music to play it where people are smoking, drinking, and talking." He's referring to his intention to no longer perform anywhere where alcohol was served. Anyway, this guy, Yusef Lateef, many records. He died at the age of 93. What we just heard was something that was released way back in 1957. He had more recordings than I can really count. And as a sideman, he appeared with people such as Art Blakey, Donald Byrd, Curtis Fuller, Charles Mingus, Les McCann. He's on Les McCann's Invitation to Open This, which is a beautiful record. Dizzy Gillespie, Randy Weston. He's on that Uhuru Africa from Randy Weston, and Cannonball Adderley and others. So check him out, Yusef Lateef. And of course, what we heard was Morning, and that is from a recording off the Savoy record label called Jazz Mood. Moving on, though, there's a flautist, a flute player, a flutist that I want to talk about. I only recently discovered this gentleman, I would say in the last maybe year and a half or so. Doesn't have a lot of material out. As a matter of fact, he spent a lot of his adult life not even in music. He's actually from Washington, D.C.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's from D.C. His name is Lloyd McNeil. And he is probably better known as an artist than he is as a musician. But he did do a few albums under his name. All of them are really excellent, beautiful works. And usually quite lengthy, actually. Most of his songs are fairly long. And in fact, this one will be too. But it was so beautifully done that, I just had to go ahead and select it,
Let's put it down, my brother.
It's called Zigane. That's Tzigane. And I'll tell you what that means later. On this recording, we have Buster Williams. We got Victor Lewis on the drums, Buster Williams on the bass, Howard Johnson on the tuba, Dom Salvador on piano, Dom Romao on percussion.
Wow.
And a number of other people. But you can check them out. The name of the album is Tori, Tori. It was released in 1978. Check out Lloyd McNeil performing the song Zigane.
Lloyd McNeil, my God, man, that's a
Yeah.
Renaissance man out of DC. He's an
Yeah.
artist. He played the flute. He got us all type of award. He designed a postage stamp. What
Yeah,
does
the
this
postage,
mean?
the postage stamp for Kwanzaa.
Of all things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a writer too. He was a poet. He authored and published 2 books of poetry. He was educated at places like Rutgers University in New Jersey. Yeah, he studied flute under Eric Dolphy. Very interesting fellow. Has a
Sounded like
master's.
my brother.
He's got a master's degree from Howard University that he got it back in 1963.
First one to get the MFA, matter of
Yeah.
fact. Yeah.
And still living.
School of Fine Arts. Excuse me, the Chadwick Boseman School of Fine Arts.
Yes, and he's still living, 86 years old. So Lloyd McNeil, you can check out. He has a number of recordings under his name, a handful, I would say. Not always easy to get, but at least 3 of them are easy enough to get for anyone that would look. Lloyd McNeil out of DC, 86 years old, and that piece was called Tsigane, which is Kosa for each other. So we're going to move on, talking about the flautists, the flutists, the flute players. I wish I knew and could decide on how to say that.
Different ways of the pronunciation, brother.
But we're going from someone who was taught by Eric Dolphy
to the actual man himself, Eric Dolphy. And as we know, Dolphy was part of the avant-garde scene. He was also very desired and a good friend of John Coltrane, who loved Dolphy in terms of a spiritual brother and in terms of the playing that he thought added a element and an essence to his music that took it to a whole nother level.
And he played that alto saxophone, but it was also known for the bass clarinet.
Yes. And the other thing about Mr. Dolphy is that he's a California boy. He was born in Los Angeles and, came with that whole LA energy that he brought to the whole avant-garde scene, and that he pioneered with the ACM people out of Chicago.
Oh, really?
And some other folks. Yeah, he was coming strong out of that tradition.
And then, unfortunately, he passed away in 1964. He was only 36 years old. And the way the story goes is that, he was overseas in Europe, and he was undiagnosed diabetic. He had some type of a diabetic crisis, was taken to a hospital, and was treated as if he was a drug addict.
Just a dope fiend, yeah.
Yeah. And which then resulted in him not being treated for what was really his condition and passing away tragically.
Bias in medicine.
Yeah. And so we have Eric Dolphy, and I got to say this about him. In my growth, in my appreciation, exploration of his music, the people that I looked up to who had greater knowledge and experience with it always were directing me to Eric Dolphy. And I remember going to the Martin Luther King Library just to listen to John Coltrane's Olé, because Eric Dolphy was on that.
Dolphy was prominent on Olé.
Yeah, he was on that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And I have to say this too. One of the reasons is because how I got to this music was not directly because of the music, but through the Black arts movement and the Black literary arts movement in particular. People like
championed by Larry Neal and folk like that.
That's right, Larry Neal and Haki Matabuti, Donnell Lee, Mary Baraka, Leroy Jones.
And a lot of the people at Nation House, Watoto School, Keely Ron Anderson.
See, I didn't know him at the time. So
they were the ones who helped found that whole place along with Haki, by the way.
Yeah. So there's references often in the literature to jazz musicians, Eric Dolphy being one of them, and other jazz musicians. And this is what would lead me to say, well, let me check these guys out. But we're going to go to an Eric Dolphy tune for you to enjoy.
Yes, and it's a tune called Sketches of Melba, which really shows his virtuosity and flow.
All right.
Dolphy.
Eric Dolphy from Out There, Sketch of Melba.
Yeah, the inimitable Eric Dolphy. He was out there with sketches of Melba.
Yeah, and Eric Dolphy, you find his name pops up all over the place. He recorded with Max Roach. In fact, he was on that selection from our episode talking about drummers. We played Garvey's Ghost, and he's actually on that album as well with Max Roach. He recorded with Freddie Hubbard, Abby Lincoln, Chico Hamilton,
Oh, yeah.
quite extensively. Even Oliver Nelson.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And with Ron Carter, Clifford Brown, Ornette Coleman, and of course Coltrane. You can hear him, like we were saying, on Olay, also on Africa Brass.
Yes, classic.
Live at the Village Vanguard, Impressions, and some other live pieces with Coltrane. So Eric Dolphy, definitely a multi-instrumentalist. That was beautiful flute work, I got to say, Lasana, on sketch of Melba. We're gonna keep it moving. Here is another flute player who also played saxophone often.
Yeah, Mr. James Spaulding.
James Spaulding, who I think I remember first hearing him on a Duke Pearson recording called, I think it's called Honeybee, which is, I think, a reference to Duke Pearson's wife. And he was on a beautiful piece on that album, which also featured Joe Henderson, if I recall. And that led me to say, wow, which is what we hope you all will do too. As you listen to the music and you hear something and say, wow, who is that on bass? Who is that on drums? Who is that on flute, etc.
That's right. That's because we're here educating you all
on
who's out there, what they're doing, so that you have a more comprehensive feel of the music and an understanding that transcends just the basic, I don't know what this is and everything. So we're trying to tell you what it is and trying to teach you what it is so that you know, in our very humble way, of course.
That almost did sound humble, but not quite. And education.
Craig, what's the hate, brother? Why you hate,
education can be found in all things for those who want to learn, and that's definitely the purpose here. James Spaulding is somebody I heard him with Duke Pearson, and Duke Pearson was somebody that I saw. I think it was on a Donald Byrd, and so one thing leads to another, and that led me to James Spaulding, who I had no idea, but it's such a interesting musician, part of the Sun Ra Orchestra, even at some point.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
And he had a piece. One of his first pieces that he released as a soloist was a song called Uhuru.
Really?
And it was only released as a single. You know, you can maybe find it somewhere for a lot of money on 45, you know, 7-inch or something. But he also he was a part of that stable of Blue Note musicians, so you can find him, you know, sometimes with other musicians like Art Blakey, Grant Green, a lot of Freddie Hubbard, Bobby Hutcherson, Hank Mobley.
Oh yeah.
Lee Morgan, David Murray, Duke Pearson. He was on 5 different Duke Pearson recordings in the 1960s.
Sam Rivers,
Max Roach, Wayne Shorter.
Pharoah Sanders.
Yeah. And like I say, he was with Sun Ra for a number of years in the 50s.
They're co-playing with the great John Gilmore.
And do you see, he was on Spirits Known and Unknown, Leon Thomas, and the Leon Thomas album. McCoy Tyner, Tender Moments. Of course, Tender Moments is that album that has Contemplation on it. Also features our very own Brother or Robert Northern on French horn, who was also one of the members of Sun Ra's orchestra. So he's out there, but surprisingly enough, his name is not there yet.
It's never raised to the level that it probably deserved to be, which was the thing with a lot of musicians who play this genre of music, that they don't receive the recognition that they should.
Yeah. And he's still alive, 87 years old, so we can give him his flowers while
he's still with us.
So let's listen to James Spaulding. This is from an album called The Smile of the Snake, and the song is Panchito. All right. Panchito, James Spalding. Check them out.
Yeah.
And we're moving on. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to talk about more flute players.
And the next one that we're coming up on is a lady who's made a significant impact in terms of the flute scene. She was very active playing with Donald Byrd in some of his early incarnations, the Blackbirds and the Pre-Birds. And what she has done is that she was one of the few female figures on the scene at that time, at the very male-dominated jazz scene in the 70s. But she was such a bright light. Barbara Ann Humphrey, we know her as Bobby Humphrey, is that she broke out with a single of her own that put her in still a legendary status up in Harlem, New York. The name of the cut that we're going to do is called Harlem River Drive, and it sums up the entire flow of Harlem, New York at that time and in that space, and to some instances still to this day. And she is revered as a queen and comes to shops and gets free coffee and all that other stuff because people know her. She's the neighborhood legend, and that's Miss Bobby Humphrey.
Yeah, and with that, with this Harlem River Drive, it comes from that Blacks and Blues recording album released in 1973 with the Mizell brothers, famously associated with the Blackbirds, and one of the biggest selling albums for Blue Note Records. So, of course, it was a great pick to select something from that. I also want to say, too, that I discovered a few years back Bobby Humphrey's, what I think might be her debut, or actually, I think it was actually her second record in 1972 that featured Lee Morgan on there. And that was a pleasant surprise. I think Lee Morgan is on there. Ron Carter is playing with her.
Alphonse Mouzon?
Yeah. And it could be on her first record, I think, too, was the Crusaders, because I think that's really what I wanted to talk about. We had Idris Muhammad on her first record, Lee Morgan again, Billy Harper. So not the Crusaders, but Billy Harper and a number of very interesting people. So her very beginnings were very strong. And as you go back and look at her music, you're going to see a range there of the types of music that she was playing. So where are we going? Harlem River Drive?
We're going on Harlem River Drive, take it around the way, go down to the FDR, and then come out on the other side, west side.
All right. Bobby Humphrey, River Drive. Bobby Humphrey.
Yeah.
Harlem.
I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
Harlem River Drive, 1973.
Yeah, when you hear the sirens in the background, you know you coming close up on Uptown, and Harlem River Drive leads you right that way.
Yeah. And so, again, talking about people like James Spaulding, Yusef Lateef, these are saxophonists who also played the flute. Hubert Laws also played saxophone. I think I only remember seeing that on a recording maybe once or twice, but he primarily
Played the flute, and
flute.
his brother Ronnie do the sax work.
Yeah.
You know, Ronnie was the sax man.
And James Moody is sometimes known for his, saxophone work. However, he had an album. He played flute often, but he had an album which focused on the flute. It's called Sax and Flute Man, where mostly he's playing the flute. It came out in 1973.
Mm-hmm.
And James Moody just, I guess the first time I heard of James Moody, I didn't even hear his music. I just heard George Benson make reference to him at the end of the song Moody's Mood that he was covering on his Give Me the Night album,
Oh.
So Give Me the Night, it was back in those days, those kind of disco days. But George Benson, being George Benson, there was still some jazz up in there. So that led me anyway to wonder about James Moody. And when you explore his music, of course, he's been around a long time. He's still living, 85 years old. In December, he'll turn 86, and has numerous albums under his name as a leader. But also, I said that he was alive, and he's not actually. I forgot, he passed away. But as a leader, he has numerous albums. As a sideman, he played extensively with Dizzy Gillespie and recorded with Dizzy Gillespie, Dexter Gordon, Quincy Jones, Max Roach, Cedar Walton, Bobby Timmons, Charles Mingus, Elvin Jones, made a lot of contributions there. So we're going to go and listen to James Moody doing a cover, actually, of what is famously known as our R&B or soul music cut from War called "The World Is a Ghetto."
Oh, this is going to be a treat, Joe.
James Moody, The World is a Ghetto.
Yeah, he really revealed that side of it all in a very good way, though.
Yeah, and you can appreciate his sax work as well on that album and the other albums as well. Yeah, James Moody. So that was actually recorded in Chicago, 1973. And we're going to move on. We have some more to talk about. Our final, I guess, flautist that we want to accentuate
is somebody who's extremely well known in certain circles. In fact, we caught the heritage of his music the other night at a just stunning performance. And we're talking about the half of the greatest musical combo of this particular style of music from that time, which is Brian Jackson from Gil Scott-Heron and Brian Jackson, when both of them together probably created the most prolific body of music that dealt with that type of thing from a standpoint of bluesologists, in terms of giving the music that bluesy undertone with that heavy jazz riff thing. And Brian's flute work is just impeccable on a lot of the tunes that he featured in. And we really need to give him his light and his cultural weight and resonance in terms of his contribution to the whole combination of Gil Scott-Heron, Brian Jackson at the height of their playing powers.
Yeah, and he's 72 years old, or I should say 72 years young, because he's so fit and able and youthful in his energy. So he's definitely someone, though, that we should, like you say, Lasana, respect, learn about, and appreciate now while he's here with us.
That's right.
You know, Brian Jackson, born in Brooklyn, New York. And, of course, you know, an essential collaborator with Gil Scott-Heron on those albums, Winter in America, First Men of a New Day, you know, from South Africa to South Carolina.
Midnight Band.
You know, It's Your World, Bridges, Secrets even. You know?
Yeah, Secrets was nice.
Yeah, Secrets was nice. It had that song, what's that song on there?
Better Days Ahead?
Yeah, Better Days Ahead.
Yeah.
But then there's another one on there that I really like. It's where Gil Scott-Heron is talking about Gene Toomer.
Kane, yes, that Kane was a monster. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Down in the cane.
Yeah. He's like,
down in the cane.
And since you're singing, I want to sing too. You know,
Go ahead, Flo.
You know, pray for Becky. Pray for Becky. White woman gave birth to 2 black sons. Anyway, man. So Brian Jackson, just a beautiful human being, multi-talented, multi-instrumentalist, really, you know, as a pianist and as a flautist, and somebody that is still here with us, still performing and still putting out music. He just did something recently with Muhammad, what's his name? Ali Shaheed Muhammad.
Yes.
And his collaborator. But we're going to go to this song, and we're going to, which is going to take us out. We'll be back after the song to say goodbye. But what are we listening to?
We are listening to the Midnight Band, Gil Scott-Heron, Brian Jackson, and it is our favorite tune, Winter in America.
From the Indians who welcome the pilgrims, and to the buffaloes who once ruled the plain, like the vultures circling beneath the dark clouds, looking for the rain, looking for the rain. Just like the cities that stagger on the coastline, in a nation that just can't stand much more. Like the forest buried beneath the highway, never had a chance to grow. Never had a chance to grow. And now it's winter. It's winter in America. Yes, and all of the healers have been killed or sent away. Yeah, but the people know it's winter. Winter in America. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. Save your soul, Lord knows, from winter in America. The Constitution, a noble piece of paper, with free society, the struggle but they died in vain. And now democracy is a ragtime on the corner, hoping for some rain. It looks like either hoping for some rain. And I see the robins perched in barren treetops. They're watching last-ditch races marching across the floor. But just like the peace sign that vanished in our dreams, never had a chance to grow. Never had a chance to grow. And now it's winter. It's winter in America. And all of the healers have been killed or betrayed. Yeah, but the people know it's winter. Lord knows it's winter in America. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. Save your soul from a winter in America. Stick. And now it's winter. Winter in America. And all of the healers done been killed or sent away. Yeah, the people know it's winter. Winter in America. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say.
Winter in America, Brian Jackson doing that excellent flute work on that cut. It is the thing that made them an instant classic and a timeless addition to the lexicon of music coming out of the flow of the Gil Scott-Heron Brian Jackson combination with Midnight Band era music.
Yeah, and it was so you can see the musicianship from Brian Jackson in that, he just was able to capture sort of that dystopian atmosphere,
that we are now living in.
Yeah, and it was just so beautifully done. But that is it. We have explored 8 of the flautists. I'm gonna just call them flautists right now today. Hubert Laws, Yusef Lateef, Lloyd McNeil,
Eric Dolphy, James Spalding, Bobby Humphrey,
James Moody, and
Brian Jackson.
Yeah, and there's so many others, but that's just the tip of the iceberg for you to kind of help you, begin your own exploration.
Yeah,
and take it. So we're going to sign off here. Till next time.
Till next time, we'll see you on the next In the Flip.